Sinistra. Sinistra, please don't be mad at me, Sinistra. Oh, come on, please. All right. Sinistra, please don't be mad at me.
Phantom, I am tired of watching horror movies. I'm not going to watch horror movies every day of the week. Horror movies are for Halloween, and that's all.
This says you.
I'm out of here.
Sinistra. Sinistra, come on. Sinistra. Oh, well, folks, I'll tell you what. Me and you, we're going to watch this new video here on Phantom of Haunted Hill. Oh, Sinistra. Sinistra. Come on, knock it off.
Welcome to another video here on Phantom of Haunted Hill.
To play with dolls and too young to make love. Brooke Shields, as you've never seen her before. She was too beautiful to play with boys and too young to play with men. So Alice began to play with death.
She's made repeated requests that the kid see a psychiatrist.
She has a knack of making things look like accidents.
He tried to kill me!
No more dolls, no more toys. Alice only plays with bodies. It's too late to save her. A story of unnatural love and unnatural death.
Ow. That damn thing cut my nose twice already. This is some pretty good communion wine. Yoo, Natalie. All right. Hey, Phantom here. Mike, your Phantom. Today we're going to talk about, of course, Alice, Sweet Alice. 1976, directed by Alfred Soule, starring Brooke Shields, Paula E. Shepherd, Linda Miller, and Niles McMaster as the father. Music was by Stephen Norris. I do believe this was Brooke Shields' first film. She was just a little tiny Brooke, just a little tiny Brooke when she made this film. And Paula E. Shepherd, this was her first film. She made only one other film after this, in which she played a drug dealer in a sci-fi film called Liquid Sky. And that was made 1982. After that, she gave up acting and basically became a mother and a wife. So But of course, in our hearts of horror, she's a legend, being in Alice, Sweet Alice. Brooke Shields is Karen. Paula is Alice. And it's Brooke's big day. It's her first communion. That's right. Unfortunately, Karen would not make that communion because she is killed. And her body is dragged through the church and disposed of. And then her body's set on fire, and one of the mothers, I guess, nuns, sees all the smoke underneath. She's put into a pew. Smoke's coming out everywhere, and she opens it up and screams. And so, yes. And that's Brooke's big debut. Yes, indeed. So the film is basically about Alice and various murders that occur around her. She loves to pick on Karen, her sister, obviously when she was alive. Alice lives in a building with the landlord is Mr. Alfonso, this huge, scary-looking, big, chubby guy, man, and his face. The guy's scary looking. I'm telling you. When I first saw this film when I was younger on TV, I mean, everything about it scared me. The mask Alice wore, minus the mustache. But I was looking, and it is the exact same mask, except for that mustache. These types of masks scared the living crap out of me when I was younger. Going out for Halloween, and they'd be handing out candy wearing one of these. I couldn't wait to get the hell out of there. Make sure there's a group of kids all coming with me and get the fuck out of Dodge, man. You keep this mask away from me. Yes, indeed. So Alice, at the beginning of the film, she takes one of Karen's dolls, and Karen's all upset about it. And of course, Alice denies taking it. And Alice keeps everything in the basement of her building with Mr. Alfonso as the landlord. And Mr. Alfonso is not too dumb. He's, well, first of all, he's a child molester as he tries to rape Alice. And the only way she could get him off her one time was to grab his little kitten by the head and throw it on the ground. And he's screaming, "Huh, you killed my cat." But she keeps the mask and Karen's stuff she stole from her, as well as a yellow raincoat. This raincoat's very important in the film. I don't know why, because there are scenes in the film where you know, there's at least two people. The killer, who I'm not going to mention yet, at least, and some little kid just walking down the street. It's a beautiful sunny day. Everybody's got short sleeve shirts on, but strangely, there's a couple of people wearing yellow rain jackets. The sun's out. So anyway, Alice gets blamed for what happened to Karen, and she denies it. You know, she didn't kill her sister, and her aunt does not like Alice at all. And her aunt is actually walking down the steps when suddenly she's stabbed in the foot, and she's screaming and yelling that it's Alice because she's got the mask and the yellow raincoat on. So as the film goes on, the priest, Father, what was his name? I think it was Father Tom. Him and Alice's father get together, and they're going to figure out what's going on, because the police, of course, you know, the police got to play their games instead of just, you know, going and and figuring things out. We'll leave it up to the priest and the dad. But so Alice is taken into custody by the police, and they want to find out what she knows. And she's basically put into like an observatory, and she's given a lie detector test in which she claims that the person that she had seen in the church was of course, Alice is taken in for that lie detector test and she fails. But when asked if she knew who killed Karen, she said that it was Karen. And the police keep her for observation. And the psych, of course, blames the parents. Don't they always? Her dad swears not to go back to his new wife until everything's figured out. Meanwhile, he and Alice's mom are having a reconnecting. He later receives a phone call while in the hotel lobby, and the woman on the phone is shook up, so he goes to meet her and sees someone in Alice's yellow raincoat and a mask. When they stab him and beat him with it looks like a rock. And what's funny too about this is like the raincoat killer, we shall say, if you notice in the various scenes, in certain scenes, they're like, they're shorter, and in some scenes they're taller. So, but it gets the point across. And so let's see here. So her father's tied up and he's being pushed over from this abandoned building right out the window. And it's revealed that it's Mrs. Truitanori. Hold on, what was her name? Mrs. Truitanani. Which I didn't even mention her yet. She's in the film. She works for the church. And yeah, so we see that she's the killer. So the mom goes to Mrs. Truitanoni looking for her ex, and in the kitchen she seems remorseful. She makes her some coffee, she's acting very weird. From 1 minute she's all sad and the next she's like deranged. So she tells Alice's mom that her daughter was killed during her first communion. And while this is going on, the coroner finds across the father's mouth that he had been biting down on a cross when he was killed, and it's indented. So now they know without a doubt he was murdered. So Father Tom takes Alice's mom to go get her from the psych ward. Meanwhile, we'll call her Mrs. T. She's wearing a white communion dress and puts the mask in a bag and she heads out. At the same time, Alice is wearing the getup and goes in Mr. Alfonso's apartment and lets roaches out of a jar that he's been keeping. And she puts it on his chest. And when he's taking a nap and when he wakes up, he notices it and he's screaming and screaming. Meanwhile, one of the police officers was sitting outside in his car and hears it screaming. Unfortunately, by the time he comes to save the day is lost because Mr. Alfonso is now killed. He's stabbed to death, yes, indeed. But they know that the killer is Mrs. T. And she is now in church. They're all in the church service with Alice there, and the police are outside. So people are going and lining up for the communion. Mrs. Trudinoni, Mrs. T, she cuts through the line and she kneels right next to Alice. She does not like Alice. And Father Tom stops communion and tells her that the police are outside. You know, he doesn't want a ruckus or anything. And she stabs him right in the throat, killing him. And Alice gets a hold of the bag with the knife that she had stuck back in after stabbing him. And she's walking through the church. And she pulls out the knife. And then she just looks at the camera like this. And then the credits roll. What's going to happen? Is Alice the next Mrs. T? Here it is. When you watch the film, all Alice wanted, you know, was, I guess, maybe it was her parents' fault. She wanted attention from her parents. That's why she took Karen's toys and stuff like that. And it's a great film. I've seen it when I was younger. And A++ on the Phantom's fright-o-meter. All the gore is basically stabbings, and it's nothing graphic, you know. I mean, it is graphic, but it's not, you know, Herschel Gordon Lewis type of graphic. Well, folks, thanks for watching this video. Give it a like, hit that subscribe button. I've noticed it got rather dark in here because it's going to start raining again. I tried to make this video earlier and I could not read my notes. And I just couldn't read my notes in the dark. So anyway, thanks everybody. And we'll see you right here on the Phantom of Haunted Hill next video. I'll tell you what, you know, Sinistra is making a big deal about watching horror movies all the time. Is this communion wine in here? Remember she disappeared in here at the beginning of the video? I'll fix her. Communion wine.